People who have visited the US, what is your what the America story? I went to Applebee's, mistake number one I guess. I was then served by a nice young lady called Brittany, who asked me with a serious face if we have trees in Scotland. Not mine, but someone posted a while back about his British boss getting pulled over for speeding. As is the tradition in England, he got out of the car to meet the police officer, and it went about as well as you'd expect. Well, I hadn't even arrived yet in the US, but in the plane as a foreigner you have to fill a paper to enter the country with various questions, among which, did you come to murder the President of the United States? What the America? When I went to the US the first time and ordered a meal from Burger King, ordering a large fry, Coke, and a Whopper, I was blown away by the size of it all. Each item was larger than the same item back home. I was already like what the, but then the cashier said I could have a second Whopper for $1. Again, I was like what the, sign me up. Another time, while I was in Daytona, I went to a restaurant and the woman kept refilling my drink, again and again. Being a bit shy, I did not tell her to stop, and expected a bill with $15 for sodas, but then I found out the refills were free. What the? Free refills? I'd only seen that at places like Subway, but so many restaurants in the US had free refills. I love the US for restaurants and food in general. The portions are massive and very reasonably priced. Australian here. I went to Houston last year and spoke to a girl my age in the airport. We got chatting about uni/college. It was around July, and she asked me if I was on my summer vacation. I casually explained I was on my winter break. She was genuinely confused and did not understand how it was summer in the US, but winter in Australia. I tried to explain, but eventually gave up. I'm from Canada and went to Sis's Pizza in Florida. Holy, $5 for an all-you-can-eat buffet, which was basically a fast pass to witness a ton of gluttony that was on another level. I'm from America, and I have a friend from Australia. It amazes him that there are so many flags everywhere. Apparently that is a distinct USA thing. He'll make jokes about how we all forget where we are. French ex-exchange teenager in Cali here. Summer 97. I was young and missed the field trip bus to Disneyland from San Diego. So I did something pretty stupid. I hitchhiked to go there by myself. Dude who took me looked like a plaincloth cops, but a good buddy. When he heard I was French, he told me to never ever hitchhike in USA because it's pretty dangerous. Plus people could assume I'm a serial killer. So I boasted, look at you, you don't think I'm a serial killer, I'm not that dangerous looking, or you are careless. He told me to open the glove box in front of me. There was a supposedly loaded King Desert Eagle inside. He dropped me at the bus station and insisted to give me $10 for ticket. I had cash and waited for me to go in the bus. Too long. Didn't read. Still don't know if plaincloth angel or Zodiac killer. I saw 50 chicken nuggets for $5. Went to Walmart. The fabled creatures there are, just as the internet portrays them as. Nonetheless still mind-blowing. I had to tip an ATM. So do you live in East Germany or in West Germany? A woman was quite surprised to learn that we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in the UK. When I first moved to America, one of the first things I saw after leaving JFK was a homeless man masturbating outside of Union Station. It wouldn't have been that strange, except I had heard a lot of things about New York City from people who had been there or knew someone who knew someone, etc. And I was worried what I was seeing was just going to be an everyday, everywhere thing all throughout the country. Those gaps in your toilet stall doors, what are they even for? Edit. To clarify, I meant the gaps in the sides of the door, not the bottom. Aussie here. When I started chatting to a cashier, she squealed and asked where I was from. I told her Australia and she instantly dumbed down how she spoke. Do you all speak English down there? I replied sporadically. She laughed and informed me that wasn't a word. Korean friend who just got off the plane in Atlanta. So many big fat black women. Yes, he said it loudly and in public. But my favorite was a Japanese fellow who went to a buffet with a group of us in Vegas. He sits down, and his plate looks like a normal little meal. We all have heaps of all over ours, and his eyes bug out that we have so much food. I said he's really going to freak out when he realizes this is only our first plate. I was 12 years old when I spent a month in Minnesota. I remember going what the, or at least a French equivalent, when we went to Mall of America and I saw the frigging roller coaster inside of it. Edit, I'm not Canadian, I come from the old continent. Back home we would say something like Putin. Yes, it means whore, but I wasn't using curse words when I was 12, so I probably shouted, "Oh lavash, holy cow. Minnesota is awesome when you're 12. Now that I'm all grown up, I'd like to go to LA or New York City, but nothing beats fishing and horseback riding when you're a preteen." Me paying at gas station. Attendant hears I have an accent. Smiles at me. "You speak English so well." Thanks. Although I should do, I'm from England. Cue confused look. Wait. They? She trailed off speak English there? Her colleague stared at her in open-mouthed disbelief and then broke out laughing with the other customers. She looked mortified. To be fair, I felt terrible for her. She was only trying to be friendly to a foreigner. How spread out everything is. Like, it's pretty much impossible for me to survive without a car, while everywhere I needed to go on a regular basis back in London was in a 10-minute biking distance. Also, the number of pickup trucks people own without needing. Do you have cell phones in Norway? This was in 2012. Kids nowadays get an iPhone and or iPad before they're born. I was 10 years old in the line for Space Mountain, and the guy in front of me was preaching about how all America's problems stem from the king niggers and Jews coming from a sheltered middle-class British background. This was the first time I'd encountered a proper full-on racist. It scared the out of me that this guy had so much hatred for something I didn't think mattered, whilst at the happiest place on earth. I visited the US, never understood suburban young kids with huge trucks that clearly do not do any manual labor. I visited, but I also have lived here my whole life. I asked an old lady if it's true all Americans carry guns. She smiled and pulled a revolver out of her purse. She was a nice lady. Went into a shop. They had spray-on cheese. I don't think the majority of Americans here know how ridiculous that sounds to the rest of us. Spray on cheese. When I first came to the US and my dad took us to a restaurant, I ordered a fish dish, and when it came out I asked my dad how come the fish doesn't look like a fish. I was used to whole cooked fish so deep fried fish fillet looked really strange to me. Do you know any Vikings? Asked by a nice young blonde with a straight and serious face in McDonald's. I'm from Denmark. Also, good God, Texas has a lot of fat people. I was complimented on my excellent English by a girl from Ohio. I'm Canadian. She thought we all spoke German. After moving from Africa as a teen, I'm repeatedly asked why I moved to Africa in the first place, to which I reply that I've always lived there. I'm also asked, so why are you white? To which I reply, oh my god, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. However, when they reply with blank stares I realize they aren't referencing Mean Girls. Some other questions. So Africa is one country and all the borderlines are, like, states? Are there, buildings? You guys have memes over there, right? Are you Australian? Was in northern New York, near Buffalo, and a waitress overheard that I was headed back to the Pacific Ocean. She asked where I was going, and I said Vancouver. No honey, Vancouver is in Canada and that is on the Atlantic Ocean. I said Canada is from sea to sea just like America. She replied no, that's not right, only America is from sea to sea. The combination of her being absolutely sure about something and her total ignorance was surprising enough, but the fact that she felt she should basically interrupt our conversation by telling me I'm wrong about what ocean I live beside was weird. I visited from Canada a couple years ago. Everyone was very nice and had the exact same mildly interested reaction to a credit card with a chip. Their drinking age is 21. What the? USA? I'd never been out of Australia before. In Australia only farmers and cops have guns, and some criminals I guess, so I had never seen a gun that wasn't in a cop's holster in my entire 30-year existence. We go to the US for our honeymoon and have the honor and privilege of visiting a Walmart. The guns are just on the shelf. You can touch them. A fellow Aussie friend who was with us at the time asked the cashier if she could hold one. He looked at her as if she had asked if it was okay to breathe the store's air. "Can I hold one? This big one?" she asked, incredulous. "Sure. If you want to," the guy said, confused and bored at the same time. She picked up this big gun. Sorry, not a gun guy, don't know what it was. It was about the size of a shotgun but was bulkier and was getting us to take photos of her with it. If I had a gun like that at home and walked outside my house with it, someone would drive past and see me in about 10 seconds. They would call the cops, which would take about 30 seconds. The police station is just up the road, so I estimate a cop car would arrive in about 3 minutes. And it would take about 10 seconds for a cop to ask me politely to jump in his car and come for a nice chat down at the police station. But it would be fun for 4 minutes. Edit. Honeymoon was not literally at Walmart. Honeymoon was 2-week Kentucky tour followed by 1 week in New York City. Fun times. When I went to Florida, I was stopped by the police for jaywalking. I protested that the road was clear, so therefore safe to cross. He said, "I don't know how you do it in your country, but here in the US we take road safety seriously." Aghast, I explained I was from England and my only knowledge of jaywalking was from Lethal Weapon 3, and that I believed it was just a made-up law that they used in the movie to sass people. He chuckled and said, "That's a great movie. I prefer the first." I agreed and said it was by far the best. After a brief chat about the entire Lethal Weapon saga, he said, "In future make sure you use the crossings." I agreed, but asked in a pretty decent South African accent, "What if I have diplomatic immunity?" He chuckled, nodded his head, and pointed to the crossing, and said, "Cross there, enjoy your vacation," and off he went. It was the highlight of my holiday. Canadian was in a gas station waiting to pay before prepay took over, and a couple of guys with handguns in holsters were in line in front of me, resting their hands on the guns. Not so much what the, I knew to expect it, but it's a memory I think of often. Edit. I know nothing about guns or the proper terminology, but I have lots of questions about the exact posture in my inbox, so I'll try to clarify without angering more people. It wasn't a threatening "I'm about to draw my gun" pose. It was more of a "this is just a comfy resting place for my hands" pose. Like when you hook your thumb on your belt and let it hang there, except near your gun. Anyway, my original point wasn't that I thought they were going to draw. I was just shocked seeing a couple of guns like that. It had never happened before. I'm from Canada, and the first thing I saw upon my arrival to Port Angeles, Washington, which happened to be the first time I stepped foot in the States, was a large spherical lady sitting in the middle of the sidewalk blocking my path to the bus terminal, just staring at me. Another time, I was in San Diego one summer and a woman, genuinely curious, asked me if it was summer in Vancouver too. Edit. It was July. A couple. I went to university at Cal State Fresno. I was a country boy from Canada. When I was there, the entire downtown of Fresno was boarded up, and you did not go there after dark, actually anytime, and a full-blown gun/gang fight outside of my apartment, in Clovis, a suburb near the university. For a kid from small town Canada, that was mind-blowing. Was at an all-you-can-eat buffet with a soft-serve ice cream machine. As kids we thought we were being little pigs by swelling as high as we possibly could while our parents weren't looking, or they certainly would have stopped us. The guy after us grabbed a full-size drink tumbler and filled it up with ice cream. No shame at all. No childlike glee at making the mother of all Sundays. I suspect now it was something he did regularly,